AJ Castro.
Yes, Colleen.
I'm so happy to have you here chatting with us. How long have you been a part of our studio?
I first got involved in like end of 17, beginning of 18,
Okay,
or right around there.
cool. You've been a community member, a student, client, but now you're becoming a coach at our studio. I'm
I am.
so thrilled to have you joining our team.
I am so happy to be part of the team. It's something that I told other coaches. I told Angela, who kind of introduced me to Stan Kirsch Studios from the beginning. I always felt like I was part of the family. Like I don't want to say like the inner crowd because there is no inner crowd, but I always felt like I wanted to do more here. And when the opportunity presented itself, I just had to jump on it.
I'm so glad. So this is a phenomenal opportunity, I think, for people to get to know a little bit about you. And also, every single episode, I really have the desire for it to illuminate for listeners that there is no one path to success in this industry.
Sure.
Everyone starts from a different place and we reach different milestones at different times, different velocities, with the hope that hearing that it allows people to take a deep sigh of relief that they're not missing out on anything. They haven't missed the boat if they haven't achieved a certain thing by a certain time. So I'm grateful anytime anyone shares their experiences with us. So when did you move to LA?
Yeah, so I originally came out here 2004, but I claim 2006. I don't count the first 2 years because first year, 2, 3, you're just kind of learning how to survive. I was 21 and I came out here on a student exchange program from Florida International University. And so really that first year and a half, 2 years, I was just kind of like finding my footing here. And 2006, I moved into out of the dorm rooms and into an apartment with some roommates. And so I think that's kind of where my start in LA was. So 2006, going on 20 years.
Wow. Kristen and I often talk about how in the beginning you are kind of bumbling around, trying to figure out the city, trying to just get your bearings. Whenever I meet someone and they've just moved, they're 3 weeks here and they're, how do I get an agent? I want to say, all in good time, give yourself a little bit of space to just figure out the city, enjoy the city, find what you like, meet some people. I understand that hustle though, but I'm glad that you acknowledge that like sometimes all the time, it just takes some time to figure out Los Angeles. So had you been living in Miami prior to university?
So I'm originally from Costa Rica. I moved to the States when I was about 8 years old to Miami, grew up there, went to middle school, high school, college there. It all kind of happened at the same time where I started doing a little background work, a little one-liner here or there for like Spanish soap operas. And so, of course, when that happens, you believe that you're winning an Oscar tomorrow. And so I kind of got the bug that I wanted to explore being an actor a little bit more, got into some theater and started training a little bit. And at the same time, kind of walked backwards into a national student exchange program flyer at my school. And so that allowed me to explore the possibilities of like coming to LA while still having everything paid for through some athletic scholarships that I had in Miami. And so it was a very easy way to get here.
Cool.
Staying here was different, right? But to get here was fairly easy, so much so that when I went into the National Student Exchange office and I told them like, hey, can you put me in LA? They're like, everybody wants to go to LA.
Oh.
Like, do you want to go to like Nebraska? We can say, I was like, no, I want to go to LA.
Hard pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hollywood tree has moved a little out of Nebraska.
Right. That's a tax incentive thing.
Right,
Yes.
right.
But no, I was like, if you can get me to LA, like that's when I want to do the program.
Cool.
Anywhere else, no. And so they got me to LA. I came here, and once the program ended, I just kind of stayed and started trying to get an agent, right? Trying to learn the city, trying to do everything.
Yeah. Had you taken acting classes while you were out here in the exchange program?
No, which is, well, yes, I took like what my university, which was Cal State, what they offered, the Cal
Oh
State
my gosh,
program.
that's right. Cal
Mhm.
State LA.
Cal State LA, yeah.
I live right by Cal State.
We've had this
Oh my
conversation.
God.
I'm pretty sure we've had this
I'm
conversation.
sorry.
No. It just because it just dawned on me that we've had this conversation.
Okay,
I didn't know this either.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm way out there. Yeah.
Love that area. That was like my first home in LA for like 2 years.
Cool.
And that's what I mean about getting to know LA because, as you know, you have to like drive everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
so to go explore Santa Monica was like a day trip and
Mm-hmm.
understanding what that lay of the land was.
I should say that was pre-GPSs.
Yes.
GPSs? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
A lot of Thomas Guide.
yes, a lot of Thomas Guide. And for people who don't know what that is, Google it or ask your robot.
Yep.
Ask for AI. Ask your digital double. What it,
Yeah.
yes, but it does take time, especially back then. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue.
No. So that's why, like, kind of the first 2 years were just how to get around, how to maneuver, how to understand this world of LA because it can be a little intimidating and isolating. And I think I had the benefit of being in a college environment at Cal State LA where I got to meet a lot of people and have a little safety home base without having to be submerged in LA. That's why I kind of say the first 2 years were just kind of like dipping my toe in the water, getting to know the city a little bit.
That's great.
Yes.
That is really great. Really sort of soft entry into
Yeah.
it. That's phenomenal.
And I feel lucky for that because I know a lot of people don't have that soft entry and have to sell everything and get in a car and come here. And I never had that experience, so I can't speak to it, but I can only imagine that's very, very difficult
Mhm.
to uproot and start over and have to like hit the ground running.
Yeah, absolutely. In my experience, it was that way. Like sort of like, oh my gosh, okay, I've gotten here. I have to find a place to live.
Yeah.
And then you go and, look at all these places and you're like, really?
Right.
Yeah, I really, it was a challenging for a ton of reasons. But yes,
Financially too, right?
financial too.
Yeah, you come with so much money and you have to find a way to get more money quickly.
Well, that money goes really quickly, especially if you have to pay. Well, I could go on and on. Don't mean to be Debbie Downer, but like first month's rent, last month's rent, deposit, gas, and then you think like, oh gosh, don't mean to make this about me. We'll cut this out. But my first temp job, I was like, oh, it's 12 miles away. That's amazing.
Right.
It was in Santa Monica from Hollywood. And I was like, oh, I'm putting so much money into gas. Like those are the things that.
And your commute, that's 2 hours each way every day.
2 hours each way. Yeah. And those beginning years, you kind of need to learn those things.
You need to learn those things.
No one could have told me when I moved to LA, you cannot drive 12 miles for a job. I would have been like, oh yeah, watch me.
Yeah.
And you have to learn it. You have to experience it. Yeah. Sorry.
No. I love hearing your story and other people's story because kind of going back to the business a little bit, one of the things I've heard people say before is like, I'm going to give it a year. I'm going to give it 2 years. And my experience is this is a lifelong kind of grow every year, know every year. I don't know that you can put a timetable on this career and say, I'm going to give it this. In my mind, when I first started, I was like, if I'm 40, at the time I was 21, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm 40 and I'm not, have my own show by then it's a sign to hang it up. Now I'm past 40 and I'm like, oh no, I think I'm doing pretty good, So what I've learned in this whole thing is if you ask 21-year-old AJ, like, what does it mean to be successful? Or what does it mean to like make it in this industry? Or what does it mean to advance or have certain goals? 21-year-old AJ would have been like, got to win an Oscar or bust. You know what I mean? And that was my truth back then. Mm-hmm. Where if you ask me today, 20 years later, it's not that I don't want to win an Oscar or I've given up that thought. It's more like success is measured differently because it just matters kind of how we live our experiences and grow from those experiences into what the next stage is. At least that's what it is for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And so beautifully said. And I think that's so vital for young people to hear. It breaks my heart when people feel like once they turn 25 or 26 or whatever age, nearing their 30s, that it's kind of a done deal. You can live a very happy life.
You can.
Even if you're Oscar-less at 40.
Even
Yes.
And I think the truth about that is you have to give yourself grace to understand what you wanted at 21 isn't the same as what you're going to want or expect or your goals are going to be at 25 or 30 or 40 or 50, mm-hmm. And that's okay. Giving yourself that grace to explore what your goals are, what your wants are, mm-hmm. That's important.
I think so too. How do you think someone figures out what their goals are and what their sort of desires are? How does life sort of shape you in a way where you realize, oh, this is important to me, or that's not as important to me?
That's such a great question, Colleen, because I don't think there's like a blueprint for goals. I truly do believe it's a feeling in your heart. Like you know kind of what your next step should be. And like in the case of acting, if someone tells me like that auditioning is a drag and oh, I hate the business and I hate this, you're not in love with the process, right? You're not in love with the business. And if that's in your heart, something else can make you happy. Look, I don't love to audition, right? Like it's not my favorite thing in the world, but I find joy in the process. I find it exhilarating to see a pattern, right, in the script and be like, oh, I recognize that. And like, how am I going to present this? Like that brings me excitement. So that's how I know that like I'm on a certain path that I need to be on. And then I can adjust my goals according to that. But there have been times where I'm doing something in life and I'm like, this just doesn't fulfill me. This doesn't feel right. I'm not happy doing this. Maybe you do that for a short term out of necessity. I get it. But to me, if you are not fulfilled by what you're doing, if you're not happy, and if you're waking up every morning kind of just dreading your day, that's the indication that you need to shift your goals around.
I love that. And do you think that's for non-actors as well? Oh, yeah. If you wake up and you're like, I hate my job, I hate my community, that's a sign that something's out of alignment for
Something's
you?
out of alignment. Yeah, yeah, yeah. When it's right, you feel it. We've all had that feeling where it's like, I'm having a great day. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm moving towards where I want to do. Like, follow that feeling, follow that goal of like, when you're happy doing something, how do I get more of that in anything that you do? In parenting, I have two girls, right? And I know that when I feel good about spending time with my girls and playing with them and teaching them things and whatever, taking them places, like that's the right way to parent for me. You know, gentle parenting, strict parenting, doesn't matter. But like that's the right way to parent when I'm feeling good about the time I'm spending with them, as opposed to like, oh man, like I got to do this or my daughter has to go here and like it feels like a drag, then I'm doing something wrong. My parenting goals need to be adjusted there. The universe, the body, the mind, it all, the energy, it tells you what direction you need to be going in. Yeah.
That's incredible, AJ.
Thanks.
Ooh, you should coach here. I love that. I really, really, really love that. It's amazing to sort of talk about how you're like your beginnings and where you are now, just because there's so many lessons learned in those 20 years. I sometimes feel grateful because it's such a challenging industry and that it's oversaturated. And I do think it's a challenging industry myself. I know some people are like, it's not challenging, reflip that. But for me, it's been challenging.
Oh, yeah.
But in all of those challenges I've had to face, is it that I need an attitude adjustment? Is this some like trauma stuff coming back up? Is it just that I'm not getting enough fun in my life?
Yeah.
And so kind of stuck in Debbie Downer mode? Or is this not the right thing for me? I've had to, in all of those challenges that have come up, because I'm actually hitting 20 years this weekend.
Happy 20-year anniversary to us.
In those 20 years, all the challenges that have come up have allowed me to do a lot of work, face a lot of things, and it's been confronting. I think I'm a better person now after all of those challenges.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, I think Denzel Washington's one of the reasons that I wanted to start acting. And he has a quote, look it up if you want, because I'm going to butcher it now that I'm on the spot. But it talks about having goals and how important it is to have those goals. But if you don't have consistency and discipline on the way to those goals, that you're going to feel disappointment. And I think oftentimes we set these goals for ourselves, and maybe, I'm not saying you, by the way, but sometimes we lack that consistency or that discipline in having our way towards that goal. And that's sometimes where that disappointment comes from.
Yeah.
So I would kind of talk to my 21-year-old self and just say, give yourself room to grow, give yourself grace to change your goals. But also, like, when you have that goal, work towards it with discipline and consistency. And I think that's what a lot of people who, I'm going to give it a year, are missing,
I so agree with you. So that 21-year-old, how did you what were your first moves in LA? Did you try and get an agent manager first? Did you go to casting workshops? Yeah.
You're gonna laugh, and a lot of people who listen to this will end up asking ChatGPT what this place is. But you remember Samuel French?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Well, listen, I'm a huge Lakers fan. So the first memory I remember is going to Staples Center and taking a picture in front of the Magic Johnson statue. That's the first move. After I did that, I went to Samuel French because one of my teachers at Cal State LA told me like that's the place to like get books and get plays and find, I don't even know what it's called, like a list of managers and list of agents, right? So I would go to Samuel French off Sunset Boulevard, and it was, to me, an actor's bookstore playground.
Yep. Heaven.
Right?
Yes.
And you would just go and be there and look up books and look up things. And I just walked away with like a list of agents and managers. And I just kind of started looking and who do I reach out to and how do I reach out to? And I hope those cold emails or cold letters I sent out never see the light of day because they're probably terrible and really like beggy. But I fell backwards into kind of how I started. I went on Actors Access. I created a profile. I submitted myself for as many things that I could on my own, booked a couple non-union things.
Cool.
Through doing that, I got referred to my first agent, who was really a Hispanic-oriented agency. You know, if you're Hispanic, you want to be with this agency. So I was, and I was there for about a year. And I knew right away that this wasn't going to be the place that was going to take me to where my goal at the time was. It wasn't the right fit for me. It wasn't Mr. Right. It was Mr. Right now. Yeah. Preach. And I knew that because I didn't want an agent who was like the Hispanic agent. I didn't want to be the Hispanic guy. You know what I mean? I wanted to be the Hispanic guy who lived in a world that didn't matter if I was Hispanic or white or black or Asian. You know, I just was a lawyer. That's what I wanted. So that was a short-lived relationship. What I learned there and what I knew is I left on very good terms there, which I think is important for everybody. Like whenever you feel like it's time to move on, like just leave on good terms, right? In anything you do. But I left there on good terms and I started doing a play at Cal State LA. You always go back to the theater when in doubt,
Yeah.
right?
Sir.
And so I was doing a play at Cal State LA, and they do this thing at Cal State LA where they bring in like a professional actor to play one of the roles
Oh, cool.
and I don't know if they do it anymore, but 20 years ago they did. And so I was lucky enough to, as a student, trying to get an agent, trying to get some gigs, be on stage with a professional actor, right? Patrick Gorman was his name. And he was terrific. And I wanted to be like him because he was evolving into this character on stage where I was just basically saying my lines, you know? And I was like, oh, there's more to this acting thing. What I have grown to understand in my life, kind of a gift and a curse, which at the time I had a gift of I could BS my way through acting. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, yes.
Where it's like, you're talented. You can understand that, like, you can fool most people into believing like, oh, like he's doing a good job. But like there was like another level that I had no idea I could reach. So I did pretty well in this play with Patrick. And his manager went to see him in the play. And after the play, the manager was like, hey, do you have any representation? I was like, no. It's like, I'd love to rep you. Great. And so that's kind of how it happened to me. And so I booked a lot of things with her, but all non-union stuff. And then I hit this milestone where I became SAG and I started auditioning for more SAG stuff. And that's when I realized like, oh, I can't BS my way through this anymore. I was really good to a certain point, but I have so much more to learn. And then here's the curse part of it. I struggled to find my next footing because I thought I had it figured out because I had so much success at the previous non-union level. You see what I mean?
100%.
Where now I'm like, everything that I was doing before is not working. Now I'm not booking. And now that little voice enters your head of like, maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you should just give it a year. Whatever it is, right? Like it kind of creeps up on you. And I went a really long time in that world where I was trying to recapture the natural talent that I was.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I booked a couple things, one thing a year, two things a year, like nothing huge, some co-stars here and there, enough to keep that like that want alive. But I wasn't progressing as fast as I wanted to. Wasn't until I kind of had to look at myself in the mirror and say, you need training, you need classes, you need to understand how this instrument of yours can be finer tuned.
Mm-hmm.
You need the technicality, and it's not just going to come from reading a Michael Caine book. And by this time, by the way, fast forward X number of years, 10 years now that I had been with a manager, left that manager, gone to another agency, like my career's moving, right? But I need some classes. I need to find some classes. The new manager I had, she also introduced me to the idea of like getting coached for auditions. This was 2015, circa 2015. All right. And so again, ego gets in the way, right? Again, gift and curse. Like, I know what I'm doing. I don't need a coach, right? Like, what is that? I struggled to really find a class that like I felt comfortable in, that I felt good, that I felt was challenging me, but also like meeting me at the level that I was and pushing me beyond that.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
A lot of the classes I felt like, oh, I'm taking like 2 steps back just to be in here. Or like they focus 45 minutes on how to cry. And I'm like, I don't need to I don't want to do that.
Yes.
And so I struggled for a long time, for 2 years, just like jumping from audit to audit to audit. A lot of places I went to, they did like plays, like theater plays, and you would take it home and study it for 2 weeks and come back in and perform it and meet with a partner. And I was like, this is not how it works in the real world.
Totally.
And so I decided to go to sketch and improv. I was like, let's just forget all this stuff. Let's just have fun and go sketch and improv. And that's where I met Angela. I was on a sketch team with Angela, and she was booking just like one thing after the next after the next. And I was like, girl, what are you doing? Like, give me some of that secret sauce. Like, what is it? And she's like, okay, like, I'm going to tell you, but like, if I tell you, you got to be serious about it. I'm like, I'm serious. What is it? And so she told me about Stan Kirsch Studios. And it took me about 6 months after she told me to kind of come here. And right from the jump, I knew that like this place met me where I was, but like pushed me to achieve greater things. And that's where it clicked in for me of like, oh, it's okay to be naturally talented and know what you're doing, but also work on your craft. Yep. So it's a growing thing. You always grow, you always learn.
Mm-hmm. Is there something about our technique that has been most impactful, you think, on your work?
Yes. Two things jump out. Like the thought of recognizing patterns. Like I look for, as soon as I get a script, that's what I'm looking for. There's first glance, is there any patterns here that I can play with? Also, like I thrive on turns. Turns mean, like you playing the opposites of each other to get to a different location. I got a kick out of like the Stan Kirsch vernacular, right? Like the Chandler Bing, right? Like like that resonated with me. Like I knew what that was, and I could like hear it, and I could see it, and I could do it. The build to undercuts, like having the terms associated with the thing really allowed me to like grab a script, and instead of like grabbing in like memorize, it became more about like grabbing in like, oh, here's a pattern. Oh, here's a thing, right? And I love the technical aspect of it. But early on studying here, I think it was Brock who first kind of pulled me aside because I was working on an audition, and Brock was like, this is technically really good, but like, what are your thoughts behind all this? That's my Brock approach. That was so I embodied that, right?
So yeah.
What are your thoughts? Like, and I was like, oh, so there's like another element to this. And I always, boot camp and class, we always talk about thoughts, but that was the moment that like, it's like, oh, there's more. And so now when you ask like, what is the thing? I think grabbing a script, recognizing patterns right away, recognizing build to undercut, like recognizing those things quickly to then allow me to be like, oh, now it's easier to digest. And now I can start applying some thoughts, and I have my process. Yeah. So like to me, the thing that Stan Kirsch Studios have given me is a process.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the most valuable thing you can have.
Mm-hmm. I love hearing all of that so much because when I sort of like zoom out from that, I think why it's so important to have a process is because you have not just an on-camera theatrical career, also commercial, also voiceover. You're also a very active father of two and committed an awesome husband. You have a full life. So if you get an audition and there's no process and you just have to sort of like upend everything for 24 to 48 hours,
Possible.
yeah, we don't want that.
No,
So,
no. I always joke, like, and it's not a joke, but I always say, like, when you have so many things going on in life, and you don't have to be a father and have kids and multiple jobs, you don't have to have all the things, but we all have things. Some people need their time to go to yoga class, right? Whatever it is, they have a part-time job, they have to take care of mom, whatever it is, like, give 100% for that moment to what you're doing. But if you don't have that process, I'm playing with my kids and I'm thinking about the audition. How am I going to film, 3 pages by tomorrow? But the process allows you to kind of be like, okay, this is my hour to play with my kids. I know my wife is going to come home, watch them, and now I can dedicate an hour to this. And that's all the time I need for my process here.
bam.
Right. And it makes life so much more rewarding.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, geez, I feel like we could stop the podcast right there. It's so good. Okay, I love that. Oh, AJ, so great. Oh, so many directions I want to go. I think you have such a beautiful balance on your resume of doing things like Will and Grace, and then also doing things like The Rookie and 911, drama, and like the brightest of comedies. Do you feel like you prep for them differently? Do you feel like the energy on set is different?
Yeah, the energy on set is way different for me. Comedy is lighthearted, right? Like, it's all about hitting the jokes, but it's intense. Like, being on Will and Grace was such a drinking from a fire hose learning experience because the creators of the show are right there in front of a live studio audience, changing the jokes as we're filming because the audience didn't laugh at, the punchline. So we got to change it around, right? On the spot. It's comedy, but it's intense.
Yeah.
Right? Where being on a show like 911, I think like the weight of the show and the episode is the intense part of it. And everybody's very like,
Oh, I see. The subject matter.
subject
Yeah.
matters. Right,
Okay.
right. The actors are very like intense and like memorizing, but not only memorizing through thought, but also like somebody just died. So I have to like kind of like live in this world for a second. You know what I mean? Where in comedy, to me, one of the best experiences of my life was when we did Will and Grace, and I worked with Sean Hayes, and we did a take, and it was great. And Sean Hayes walked up to me, who I was just there for, one day top of show guest star. And Sean Hayes walked up to me and said, "Hey, like, you need anything from me? Like, what can I do to help you?" And I was like, "No, I'm like, what do you need from me?" Right? Like, you're the star of the show here. And he was asking me for collaboration. And so I find that in comedy, you have a lot more of that collaboration, where in drama, everybody just comes ready to play and like, you still have fun and allow yourself to like bend with the scene. There's not as much, let's try this.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about, or we mentioned 911. First of all, it was a really epic freaking episode.
I love that episode.
I mean, gosh, I wish I had the numbers readily available. But millions upon millions who've watched that episode. Do you want to talk a little bit about how that role came to you? Or
Sure. Yeah. It's the thing that they tell you happens and you don't believe it happens until it happens. And you're like, oh, this does happen. But I had auditioned for that office multiple times. UDK. I had auditioned for them for multiple shows, multiple times over the years. I mean, combined 15, 16, 20 times, multiple times a year is going in there. Like, I felt really good about it. I had been pinned once or twice and released. I was like, okay, like, I'm always the bridesmaid here, right? Always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Like, this is just not the office that's going to cast me. Because I have other offices who bring me in and they've cast me multiple times in just 1 or 2 or 3 showings, right? So it was a late February afternoon. The sun was shining, the calls were out. And I get a call from my agent. They're like, hey, we got a call from UDK and they want to know if you're available for these 2 weeks. And I was like, yeah, what is this for though? Like, I haven't auditioned for them in 6 months. Like, and they're like, well, they're thinking about adding a role to one of the upcoming episodes. They don't quite know what it is, but they have an idea. They've been thinking about something that they want to write, and you came to mind for it. So they want to kind of write it with you in mind, but we don't know at this point what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, what's it for? We don't know. They just want to know like that you're available. Yeah, I'm available. They're kind of writing something. They don't know exactly who the character is, but they have you in mind for the character, whatever that ends up being. It could be anything from X to Y, but they're writing it right now and they want to know if you're available. So I was like, yeah, I'll make myself available. And all they knew was it would be a top of show guest. So I was like, yep, I'll make myself available for 2 weeks. No problem. Then like a couple days went by and then the communication was very good. Like, we don't know anything yet. The showrunner is kind of figuring out what this role is, but we do want him in it. We just don't know what the role is.
Mm-hmm.
So they made me an offer without really even having a role in place. So I accepted the role, not knowing what it was, just knew that it was a top of show guest star.
Yeah.
Couple days before I had to be on set, they sent over my sides, but I didn't even have a script to look at yet.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the sides. So it was pretty intimidating because like you're about to shoot something in a couple of days and all you have is the sides, but also there's some comfort in knowing when you audition for something that like you've done this. They already like it. You know what I mean? I've gone through the process. They've seen my work. They like it. Now I'm like, oh, they kind of wrote this for me. And now like I have to perform to meet those expectations of what they wrote, right? And they haven't seen me in this character. So that little voice goes into the head again, like, oh, like, what are you doing? You're way over your head. Like, who are you to write the... And you have to shut that voice up because then you have to start the work.
Yeah.
You have to start prepping and you have to coach. And I called Colleen and I was like, work this with me, you know? And then I did something that I had never done before. And I found it super rewarding and super funny. And it kind of just broke everything down for me. There was a moment that voice came back when a friend of mine who I told this was happening, he mentioned something like, oh, Angela Bassett, like she's the top of the top, right? And I was like, oh, wow, like my scenes are with Angela. Like, and I didn't like compute that while I was working with you, while I was coaching, while I was prepping this role. And all of a sudden I just got this thing where I'm like, I'm in this scene with Ollie, one of the leads of the show, Angela, the lead of the show, right? And like, I'm kind of barking at them and they're barking at me and I got intimidated. And so what I did was I printed out a full sheet image of Angela's face from 911, like a still, and Ollie from 911, and I put them on the wall. And as I would prep my sides and I would prep my role, I did it with Angela and Ollie. And when I got on set, I was so used to seeing their faces in my prep that Oscar winner, multiple shows, years in the business, like it was just me acting with another person.
I love that.
So that was pretty cool. And the episode came out great. I was very happy with the cut and the work and the magnitude of the episode. I finally got to read the script before shooting, so that was cool. And I got to see it with my parents and my wife and my kids. And my parents were back in Florida. I had never got the opportunity to see something air with them in the room. So that was really rewarding. So it was really cool.
Oh my goodness, it's incredible.
Thanks.
What I know for sure is that they would not have written something for you or kept you in mind had you not shown the hell up for those other auditions.
Correct.
It doesn't happen out of nowhere. You really showed them that you are, you know the tone of their show, you know what to do with their material, and that you are a professional.
Yeah, that's why I say, like, it's the thing that people always tells you happens, but doesn't really happen to you until it happens, which is, casting is on your side.
100%.
Like, I learned that and I truly believe that now. They want you to succeed. They want you to win. Like, they are on your side. They're rooting for you. They're pitching you. And there's so many factors that play into it. But I was always told casting's just looking for the right role for you. And I'm like, all right, well, they've seen 17 roles. Like, one of them's got to be the right one, right? And this happens in commercials too. Like commercial offices bring you in. And like they're looking for the right spot. And sometimes it's discouraging. You get brought in so many times, but it's so true. And I'm like living proof that they are looking for something for you. That office is a true example, along with many other offices. Wendy O'Brien's office is another one where like they want you to succeed. They get happy with your success. The casting director wrote me an email after the performance and said, like, great job. Thank you for doing this for us. Like, come on, man. Like, yes, of course, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. And like, it painted that picture in my mind of like, we're all equals here. Casting needs actors. Actors needs casting. Producers need actors. We need that. Like, it's a village. We all got to get out of that idea of like, oh, they don't like me. They like me. They want me. No, everybody wants to produce a good product. And we're all in it together.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love that. I do want to talk about your writing, but I have one more question.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you ever I used to take classes of like, how do I type myself? How do I brand myself? And then also, how do I market? I just send a lot of postcards. Have you done any of that work, either like branding or like marketing?
Yeah. Can I tell you a funny story?
Please.
And again, it's one of those things that like, I don't want to know what the casting directors thought at the time. But the first marketing initiative I ever did was, this was, right when I got out here, 2006, 2007, I was like my favorite shows, right? Like Lost. I was way into Lost, and April Webster cast Lost. So I picked like 3, 4, 5 casting directors that like I wanted to work with. And I went to Payless Shoes and bought a shoe. I paid to have like a little flower arrangement built into the shoe. And me and my best friend at the time, we drove around LA to these different offices and dropped off a shoe with a flower arrangement with a little note that said, just trying to get my foot in the door. And I don't know if I came up with that or if I heard it somewhere, but I did it. And it never did anything for me, never paid out. No. So it's it's funny when thinking about like branding and marketing, I think it's got to be about the work, right? When you market yourself, when you brand yourself, showcasing your work, showcasing things that you're doing, I think that's important. I look at the jobs that I've booked, and that kind of tells me how people see me. I've done the exercises where I've asked friends and family, like, what kind of roles do you think I'd go out for? And, they always give you the things, but they're not the ones making the decisions.
100%. Yeah.
So look at like what you keep getting called in for. Look at what you book, if you've booked anything, and like, what is that type? What is that brand? Right. For me, I always wanted to be like the Hispanic bad guy, right? Like that's what I like wanted that. Like ever since I saw Bad Boys 2. Remember that in Miami with like the
Yes.
Yes.
Oh yes. I mean, like long ago.
Long ago. Yeah. Back in the day.
Yes.
Where it's like the drug trafficking, wealthy Hispanic guy, right? And like, so I always wanted to do that. But I would always get cast as like cops and detectives and a lot of like blue collar thing, right? And so I kind of not let go of like the idea of like playing the wealthy, evil Hispanic guy, but lean into like, oh, okay, like I'm getting these type of roles. How do I say thank you? Can I have some more, please? Right? And lean into that a little bit, right? So for my auditions, for my headshots, for my marketing materials, I try to skew a little more blue collar, right? I still have my, suit and tie pictures, and I can do that. Don't get me wrong. But like, you got to understand what the market is in demand for and how they want it and how you can present what's selling. Apple wants to sell the Apple Vision Pro, but if they're not selling that, they got to keep selling that iPhone. So
Right.
sell the iPhone.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what people are wanting.
That's what-
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I love that. I do think when people
But I will take the, evil Hispanic rich guy, if anybody out there wants to.
you will totally
throw
take
that.
it.
I will take it.
I do think, because I was so obsessed with like, I got to figure out my brand when I first got here, because people were like, what are you? And I was like, oh, I don't know. God, I have no idea.
Yeah.
A nice person, a well-trained actor, I don't know. And then
Which is not enough, by the way. A well-trained actor who knows what they're doing.
they're like,
Oh, yeah, another one of those.
yes. I was like, I have a theater degree. They're like,
Right. Oh, that's the line for that. Even though they're
right. But eventually, I feel like Hollywood has like a sorting hat, and they tell you where you know what I mean? Like they tell you, we see you as like the quirky neighbor, we see you as like the blue collar sheriff or whatever it is, and you can keep striving for like what your heart burns for, but also at the same time, great, I got to get really good at the thing
Right.
Hollywood keeps wanting to hire me at.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Because once you do that and you do get hired, now you're going to get those other opportunities to be like, oh, now I want to do this and expand to that. Right. But you got to get in where you can fit in. And oftentimes it's like, oh, there's a demand for this. They see something that I'm not seeing.
Right.
Maybe it's the scruff. Maybe it's like the whatever. Right.
Right. Yeah.
Look, I've been a basketball player my whole life. That's my sport. That's what I do. And I walked into this casting office for, remember that show Revenge?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I walked into that casting office years ago for, I forget what the role was, but the casting director looked at me and was like, oh, do you play football? You look like a football player. I was a little, bigger back then. And I was like, no, I don't play, football. And leaving that audition, I was like, why would she say that? Like, that threw me off. Like, I wasn't auditioning for a football player, And I was like, oh, maybe like that's why there's kind of that need for like a cop, right? A little bit bigger, a little bit more, you know what I mean? Like, and I started thinking, like, what does a football player build? Not a lineman, right? But like, what does a football player build kind of like lead to in like career choices? And so that's where I started thinking about like that blue collar and like, oh, I am getting called in for a lot of cops and detectives and the roles that fit that bill.
So interesting.
But I always saw myself as a basketball player, right?
Yeah.
And that's maybe not how other people in Hollywood were seeing my figure, my kind, my face.
This way is more of like someone who can like protect.
Right.
And,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like the presence, the protection, the don't mess with him type of thing.
Yes.
Right. Which I'm a really nice guy, I think, but like I have the mean face sometimes. In class with you, when I'm in class, I call it the testosterone.
Testosterone.
Right. Where like,
Yes.
you can exude a lot of testosterone. It's a little, that performer was a little testosterone. Let's pull it back. And so I think I could like lean heavily into that, and maybe that's where it comes from,
Yeah. It's so funny because in that class where we discovered testosterone, which I feel like sounds like a pasta.
Right.
That's immediately like,
Testosterone.
delicious. But
Try it with a glass of Chianti or
sounds great. You came on and everyone's like, it's like Oscar Isaac's brother. Like, oh my God, Oscar Isaac vibe. Like people were like immediately into it. I'm like, I love that kind of feedback where I love actors who I love, not just their acting, but as humans. I love watching other actors discover them because they're like, what's AJ doing, man? This is great. This testosterone thing, I think I can know that.
Some testosterone. Yeah.
I want to see Michelle now add a little testosterone.
I would love to see Michelle.
The thing is, she could do it. She could do it all.
She could do it all, yeah. It's funny when they said that because my secret nemesis yeah. Do you have a secret nemesis? Yeah, my secret nemesis, who he has no idea that he's my nemesis, but I'm like, oh, he stole my role, is Oscar Isaac.
Really?
Yeah. Everything that he does, I was like, oh, man, they got Oscar instead of me. Yeah. So Oscar, I'm coming for you, man.
Like, he's coming for you.
But I love Oscar, man. Like his work, like
so good.
Everything about it. I saw him in the first time in Ex Machina.
That's the first time I saw him.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, this is like,
who is this?
Yes. And then like one thing after the next, and it's built from a jealousy thing of like, I want that career and the roles that he's getting, but also like the jealousy is definitely masked with a thick layer of like respect and admiration. And I'm like, dude, like he's doing it, which is awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
It's his time to do those things, and when it's my time, I'll do those things.
Love that.
And then we'll play brothers at some point.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So writing is this whole other part of your life.
Yes. I have writing injuries now.
Stop. Is that a writing injury?
This is a writing. I went to the sports doctor and he said it might be from like the way I have my keyboard.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
He's like, you writing a pilot, bro?
Right. Yeah. Like, yeah. How many scripts have you written today? Yeah. So sorry.
That's amazing. How did you get into writing?
So remember when we kind of talked about like following what your heart was wanting or what you felt joy in doing.
Yeah.
COVID hit and I was like, man, I'm just struggling with the creative part of it. And then I started looking at actors I really kind of admire. I think Oscar Isaac being one of them. it just kind of my research went down a wormhole, and I saw like a lot of them went to Juilliard, right? And so I was like, you know what? COVID, right after COVID, I was like, maybe I'll go back to theater school. Maybe that's what I'm missing creatively in my life. And I looked up Juilliard and I was like, this is not an option for me right now. I have 2 girls. I'm happily married. Like my life is very settled. I'm not going to move to New York for 2 years and go live in the dorms and do Juilliard, right? So then I started looking at like theater programs that were highly reputable in Los Angeles, and USC, UCLA came up, right? They were like number 6 and number 7 in the country. I was like, okay, well, maybe I could do something like that. And I came across a professional acting program through UCLA, and it was like the last day to apply.
Whoa.
Like tomorrow was like it, right? And so I submitted an email and I was like, hey, like, are you still accepting applications? They're like, look, you can submit an application, but we're pretty locked in the class. However, we have this other writing program. Like, would you be interested in doing that? And I was like, yeah, I guess, like, sure. I need some sort of creative outlet. And so I applied to it. I got accepted. I went in and I was just doing it like for a creative outlet right after COVID. And by the way, this is now a few years after COVID, after my deep dive into Juilliard and all that. So I started the program. It was a year-long program. I wanted to do it like out of a creative being, but I was around all these very talented writers, like professional writers, professional teachers who have written a ton of stuff on TV. And it was really inspiring to like see acting from a writer's point of view. And I learned so much respect for like a writer's intent within a script and how every word is meticulously crafted and thought about and deleted 15 times before they're like, yes, we're going to put the on there, right? So I was doing the class as a learning example, as an exercise, as a creative thing. And unbeknownst to me and complete surprise, a pilot I wrote in the class ended up winning best comedy pilot out of the entire year-long program worldwide, thousands of people in it, right? So that kind of like perked my ears up a little bit of like, oh, like I may have some talent here. So going back to how I first started acting, and instead of being like, I'm talented, I'm a writer now, right? I decided to take more classes this time and like learn and how to get better and better. And so I wrote 3, 4, 5 other scripts by myself with partners and really found that joy in writing, where I started gaining interest from talent managers and agents and won a couple contests. And so now it's like, I love acting. That's what I do. And writing has become this secondary threat that I've learned and loved, where I really find the passion in sitting down and writing. Almost like finding the joy in writing has helped me have a creative outlet that's not so much like, when's my next audition coming out? And I think now I could market myself and advertise myself as like a dual threat for the business.
Absolutely. What is your discipline like as far as writing? Do you say I must write 3 times a week, or like every day I want to do 30 minutes?
Yeah. So I treat writing in stages, right? So you have like the brainstorming stage. What is this, right? Then you have like a beat sheet, then an outline, then a script, then a rewrite, then like that. I have different stages that I like to go through. And so I'm the person who like wants to start something and complete it, right? So to me, I'll sit at night when my girls are asleep. As long as it takes me 1 night, 2 nights, 2 weeks, I want to get in front of that keyboard until I complete that stage. And then oftentimes I'll take like a week, 2 week, 3 week break just to like allow myself to get to the next place mentally that I need to get to. And then once I hit that, like, okay, now it's writing time, I'm doing it. And I think I kind of learned that from Stan Kirsch Studios, of like kind of training like an athlete. Stan always used to say that. And I kind of take that same approach to writing, where it's like, okay, now it's time to sprint, like, blah, 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 blah. Let's do my workout, right? And I have to like finish that workout or that sprint or whatever until it's done. And then I can allow myself a little bit of like, let's decompress and let's find out like if this is any good, right? Yeah. The best part of it though is I've done a couple table reads of my scripts, just getting like friends and fellow actors to like lend their voice to just for me, just to hear it.
Yeah.
And that's so rewarding. Like having it read out loud and hearing it and then being able to like adjust to that. That's my favorite part of the process. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I was so grateful to read your award-winning script.
Thank you.
It's so good. And do you want to give a synopsis of it?
Yeah, just like a little one line. It's about the first female head coach in the NBA and her kind of trying to navigate this boys club that is professional male sports. I found that the inspiration for all of the things that I've been writing come from my daughters, surprisingly enough, of like, I want to write characters, male or female, that live in this world that I want them to live in. You know what I mean? And I want them to like understand, like, you want to be a professional basketball head coach? Like, you can do that, right? And here's the world to show you that. Yeah, it's fun because I grew up in a basketball environment, you know?
Yeah. Well, that was one of the things while I was reading it. I was like, okay, this is so great and hilarious. And, well, we just had like a basketball game. We had all of these moves and all of this strategy and the inner workings of a basketball team. I was like, right, you know so much about that world.
Right.
So it really hits on all of these aspects and all of these ways. It's such a multi-dynamic piece. Yeah, I'm totally rooting for Lily. Love her relationship with her dad.
Yes.
Her friendship with the social media manager at the
Yeah.
company. And then also, it feels very real. I mean, I've gone to 2 professional women's basketball games and the vibe is awesome. And I feel like we're in this moment right now. Oh gosh, you can probably speak to this better, but we're in this moment right now where I feel like women's professional sports are really in a place where they've never been before.
Oh, yeah.
Especially basketball.
Yeah.
So it just feels so of this particular moment.
Yeah. And I love how people are like, they're talking about it, right? We're engaging in that conversation. So yeah, so when I wrote the script, I love basketball. I live in that world. I've lived that world. I've had this idea about like a professional basketball coach show for a long time because I love that show, Coach, with Craig T. Nelson.
Yes.
Love that. So I wanted to kind of revitalize that in a modern environment. And then, seeing my girls, I was like, what if it's a female here that's the coach? And in the current world that we live in, there is head coach or assistant coaches that have a big probability in the NBA today to become head coaches. And so we're starting to see that tide. So it's not impossible to see that. And we're finally, thankfully, giving credit to females in sports. Running Point by Mindy Kaling, like that's another example of like a great sports basketball show centered around a strong female. And so I think society, the world needs like to see these things in action because again, that's the world I want my daughters to grow up in.
I love that so much. Is there anything else you want to say about writing?
I think for me, it's kind of that thing of like allowing yourself, and I allowed myself to like shift goals. I never saw myself as a writer. I always doubted myself as a writer, and allowing myself to shift goals and like go there really has helped open up a whole new vision of how my acting can go and how I can coach people, right? When I coach somebody now and I see a script, I'm like, you're not being true to this thing here that we're talking about, right? And I can see it from a writer's point of view, and I think that's helpful, and I can see it from an actor's point of view. So I encourage everybody to kind of explore, writing because it's very creatively rewarding.
I love that. So these are the questions that James Lipton used to ask every guest on Inside the Actor Studio. I always dreamed of being on that show. Like I would watch it with my theater friends in college, just be like, one day. And since he's no longer with us, I thought it'd be fun to have the opportunity to hear from some of my favorite actors.
Sure.
AJ Castro, what is your favorite word?
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious. Because when I was learning English,
yes,
that's the word I couldn't say.
Oh
and
my
so
goodness.
when I could say it, it was like, oh, I could speak the language now. So it was a milestone.
Yes, I love it. I love it. What is your least favorite word?
I love words. I love languages. So I don't know that there is a least favorite word. Maybe fart.
Okay.
Fart just sounds like very like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. My wife has toilet humor, so like when she just hears the word fart and she giggles.
Amazing.
I go the other way. I'm like, oh, toilet humor. There, I mean, so like, then fart.
My nephews love that word.
Yeah.
Just little boys. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
The process,
Mm.
creatively, spiritually, emotionally, like going through it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like finding joy in that. Like, I know that the next step might not be clear to me now, but just take it
Mm-hmm.
and have that belief and that faith in whatever you're doing and just fall. And I think that's a big turn on and rush for me.
I love that.
Yeah.
What turns you off?
Doubt, hate, questions. I guess there's a lot of people in my life who love me, who's like, oh, when are you going to be on TV? Or when are you going to do this? Right? Like, and not just about TV or anything, right? You're running a business. Oh, when's your business going to be up and running? Or, when are you going to get that promotion at work? Right? Like
Sure.
those questions are like a little bit like they come from a good place, but they stomp my soul a little bit, So I think that's one that makes you sigh a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's so hard for me to say that because it comes from a good place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your favorite curse word?
Puta.
Amazing. Okay, great. What sound or noise do you love?
Donald Duck's voice, because I don't know that I can truly understand it and I can't do it, but like the whole like that whole thing,
Oh my gosh, that was
Like-
great. Oh my gosh, new special skill for you, Aiden.
Donald Duck's ears, yes.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Donald Duck's nails on a chalkboard. Like I can't stomach it
Mm-hmm.
at all.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's the worst.
Yeah.
What profession other than your own would you like to try?
I'm going to step away from the entertainment industry
Mhm.
because I would say like director, like I think I could be a really good director within the entertainment industry, but like outside of the entertainment industry, I think like SWAT, just like something like that.
You'd be really good at that.
Thanks. Taking
'Cause-
down bad guys.
Yeah, because you've kind of like played that.
Right. Yeah, I have played it.
Like
Yeah,
I see it.
It's art imitating life.
Yeah.
But something like that, like SWAT, I think, or yeah, my brother-in-law's a firefighter, and I was like, that's kind of cool.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, Station 19 type of stuff.
Oh, I've heard of that show. Okay, what profession would you not like to do?
Shark wrangler or anything like marine biologist, anything that involves me getting into their world.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Fear of sharks? Fear of...
Yes. Fear of sharks, fear of deep blue things. I went scuba diving for the first time
Wow.
because my wife's an avid scuba diver. She loves scuba diving. So like I did it to be like, I could do this for you.
Mm-hmm.
Did it, check the box. Was terrified the whole time. Never have to do it again.
Oh, wow.
But I did it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds terrifying.
Yeah.
I have a fear of deep ocean, deep open
Yep.
water.
That's my hell.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
Yeah. Thalassophobia, I think it's called.
There was a little girl that fell off a Disney cruise ship.
Yes. Oh yes.
That's my like worst nightmare in life.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So glad that her dad dove right in after her. Yeah.
He's a good man.
Terrifying. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive at the pearly gates?
Ooh. You did good.
Mm,
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, AJ.
Thank
So
you.
appreciate you, and I can't wait to see what's next for you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited about whatever it is and never lost hope of winning that Oscar. But I think taking steps in life to get to wherever that may be will be the real reward.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much for being part of our community.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I appreciate it.